Fox News host thinks that the media picks our presidents.
Mr. Reagan.
All right, Fox News host Sandra Smith, somebody who I've always loved, somebody who I've always watched. The other day she was caught on a hot mic, right? She didn't know she was on air. And she was talking to the other anchor, and she says, you know, what is this woman talking about? We've already declared Joe Biden the president, right? We've already called it, she said. We've already called it. She scoffs indignantly at this guest, right? This guest is saying that the presidential race is not over yet. You know, we still have to look at potential voter fraud. We have to do some recounts, stuff like that, and then we'll know, you know. And Sandra Smith is like, what is she talking about? We've already called it. As if Fox News is the only place in the world that can declare who becomes president. As if it's the mainstream media's job to tell us. I mean, it's their job to tell us who won, but they don't choose, right? They are not the officials that dictate who's the president. We are, right? And we need to know which votes were accurate and which votes were phony and which counts were, you know, where they made mistakes or where maybe fraud was involved. We need to know all that stuff before there is a decisive victory. Right now, it's too close to call. There's too much uncertainty, right? So for Fox to sit there and tell us that they know for 100% absolute, there is no fraud, this is legitimate, it's baloney. We all know it's baloney, and nobody's buying it. And people are stopping watching Fox like crazy right now, and this is one of the reasons why. Let's watch this clip.
Over whoever is decided to be the president. Remember, just because CNN says, or even Fox News says that somebody's president doesn't make them president. So I think everybody wants to know that this was done properly and legally.
What is happening? Like, Trace, we've called it.
And I think we have to look into every one of these concerns.
And you know what's pissing off most people about it? It's not the fact that Sandra Smith is convinced that it's Fox News is the last word on who becomes president. You know, it's people aren't upset that she doesn't accept that perhaps there's voter fraud. I mean, all that stuff upsets us for sure. But the thing that really pisses people off, I think, is her complete and utter lack of respect for the perspective of this guest. I mean, who the hell is she? In my opinion, Fox News needs to fire her immediately. I like Sandra Smith. I like her. I've always loved watching her show. She's always seemed fair to me. But this gives you an insight into her perspective behind the scenes. And this is ugly. This is not nice. Nobody wants this kind of person presenting the news to them. I don't ever want to take her word for anything anymore, because I don't know if she's being legitimate or if she has any respect for her guests. This to me was absolutely disgusting. And it makes total sense to me that people are stopping watching Fox News and they're turning on people like Sebastian Gorka, Mr. Reagan, alternative media, if you will, or other news agencies like Newsmax. And if you're not watching these other networks, these other places, you need to. Blaze, all these different people. They're now, I think, the real reporters, the real news. I think Fox News is starting to drop the ball. Now, I'm going to continue to watch Fox News. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for as long as I can. I've always loved Fox News. But they are seeming to slide a little bit. They don't seem as credible as they used to be. They don't seem to respect conservative ideas as much as they used to. And this, to me, is, frankly, it is incredibly disturbing. I think people are starting to shift to other sources of news, and for good reason. Okay, so these short videos that I'm doing, I'm calling them Mr. Reagan headlines. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but the news is going so fast these days that I want to get you guys some of these stories much more quickly. So I'm doing a more cursory review of the news. I'm looking at the headlines, I'm reading the articles, and I'm presenting you guys with my perspective on these things. Maybe some of the stuff that isn't in the mainstream news, but rather some of the more alternative news sources, stuff that you guys maybe haven't heard yet. So hopefully you guys found this informative, and if you liked it, let me know in the comments. If you didn't, let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe, because you're going to get a lot of notifications now from Mr. Reagan about what's going on in the world, stuff that maybe you haven't heard yet, might be enticing to you. All right, so that's it for me, and I will see you guys next time.
General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.